What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're on the PTR, baby. This is going to be the ranged DPS tier list for the tier set bonuses that have come through, but we are on the PTR again. I'm very excited about this. We're going to be doing a bunch of videos about PTR stuff soon, so stay tuned to the channel for that, okay? But for today, we are looking at all the ranged DPS tier set bonuses in Season 2 of the War Within, the Undermine patch 11.1. We're going to dive right in. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on each of the range specs, and then I'm going to rank them, of course, in a tier list here with the same parameters that I've been doing for all the other ones, okay? So, yo, I really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. I got to get some coffee, bye. Okay, so let's start with Boomkin. The keyword for ranged is Jackpot, and let me just say out of the gates, every single range tier bonus basically has an RNG component. There's a randomness there. You have to score this jackpot in order to gain some sort of benefit. So when I was initially going through all these, I was like, man, this is like a negative point, because they all have RNG, but they're all like that. So there are some that have a better sort of variance on the RNG. And we'll talk about that when we get there, but just know every range DPS spec has this jackpot effect that is it's a random proc that you're hoping for. And if you don't like that, then you're going to be in trouble if you're a range DPS player. Boomkin. Your damaging spells have a chance to hit a jackpot, growing a wild mushroom at an enemy's location at 100% effectiveness. Casting CA or Incarnation always gives you a jackpot. Okay, so first and foremost, this is very random and forces you to take either Sunseeker's Mushroom or Wild Mushroom. Now, I know a lot of builds right now take Sunseeker's Mushroom in Mythic Plus. In a raid situation, I think this is a bit of a problem, right? That you're proccing essentially an AoE spell. Now, of course, you can take, is it Waning? Yeah, Waning Twilight, which gives you more damage when you have periodic effects. So you're very likely to always have a mushroom on the ground, which will be one of your periodic effects. Then it's like Sunfire, Moonfire. You got up to 3. You're getting this 6% damage bonus all the time. I just think there's some problems with this, and let's get to it. Number one, it's at a nearby enemy's location. Like, what does that even mean? Where is this going? If you read the text of Wild Mushroom, it grows a mushroom that deals damage and generates astral power based on the number of targets hit. Okay, so like, if this only hits one target, it generates significantly less. What if you get a random proc on a mushroom and it hits that ranged guy that we haven't quite pulled into the pack yet? That's a problem, right? It's going to generate less astral power. It's going to do less damage. So I don't like this proc. Let me just say straight up. You get a guarantee proc from casting Celestial Alignment or Incarn, which is great, but it's just random. It's too random. Starfall and Star Surge damage against targets affected by your wild mushrooms damage over time effect is increased by 20%. So once again, you could take Sunseeker's Mushroom and get the wild mushroom effect, or take wild mushroom yourself and have 20% more damage to Starfall and Star Surge. That's fine. That's a good generic bonus for sure, but to me, there's just two major problems here. You're forced to take the mushroom talent, in my opinion, in order to really maximize the 4-piece bonus. Right? And number two, it's going to spawn on a random enemy. So they got to fix that. And for now, I just don't think, compared to all the other effects that I have seen, I don't think this is a very powerful effect really at all. And so we're going to be putting that automatically already down into the needs work category. So the very first set that we've got goes into the needs work category. That's a little bit frustrating, I guess, for you Boomkins probably, but I just don't think this is that strong compared to the other tier bonuses I've seen, and let's get to those right now, okay? Devastation Evoker. Your damaging spells have a chance to hit a jackpot, launching a Shattering Star at 3 nearby enemies at 50% effectiveness. Casting Dragon Rage always gets you this Shattering Star effect. So this is actually quite interesting. Shattering Star is, of course, over here. Shattering Star can have the number of targets that it hits doubled, okay, by Eternity Span. This is really important to understand. Eternity Surge and Shattering Star hit twice as many targets. So this extra Shattering Star that you get, that's going to hit 3 nearby enemies, I'm assuming it's going to hit 6 nearby enemies if you have Eternity Span talented. So right away, to me, that's kind of cool. And I think that that really automatically creates some cool synergy. Most of the builds for Devastation Evoker are already taking Shattering Star anyway, so this tier set bonus isn't like way out in left field, forcing you to pick this ability. Much like the Boomkin one, like the Boomkin one, I think, you know, is just worse in that regard. Casting Shattering Star or hitting a Jackpot, so either one of those things, increases the damage of your next empowered spell by 20%, stacking up to 2 times. This is really good. This is a much better design than the Druid one, I would say, because you can cast Shattering Star yourself and empower your next ability, or you get the Jackpot. It's both of them, and Shattering Star is only a 20-second cooldown. So now, obviously, yeah, I'm not going to keep going back to the Druid one, but I think this is just a much better design. You're going to be getting a lot of extra Shattering Stars. They're going to do a lot more damage, and you can potentially double the number of targets that you're getting with Eternity Span. So I think this is quite good, and we're going to throw this into the good category. I think in raid, of course, it's going to get a little bit less value because your Shattering Star hitting 3 extra nearby enemies doesn't matter on a raid fight, but getting a proc on Shattering Star is just going to be good in general because it does a decent amount of damage. Okay, so not bad at all. You can also talent into Arcane Vigor, which can make the Shattering Star that you get give you an Essence Burst, which I think is really cool. So you get this proc of Shattering Star. I mean, I'm hoping it works this way. I don't actually know it. I haven't looked at it on the PTR, but getting the Shattering Star proc gives you an Essence Burst. That would be really cool if that worked as well. Okay, we're going to put it in the good category for now. Okay, BM Hunter. Your damaging spells have been Jackpot. Fires a barb shot at 200% effectiveness. Casting Bestial Wrath always grants a Jackpot. So this is interesting in the sense that it gives you basically permanent uptime on the barb shot buff that you're trying to maintain, right? You're always trying to maintain the frenzy stacks on your pets, up to 30% attack speed, or sorry, 90% attack speed, right? It's 30% times 3. So that's the whole mechanic with BM Hunter, is maintaining your barb shot buff. This is going to help you do that by scoring a Jackpot, getting an extra barb shot stack. I do think this also means that you could potentially change some of the talents that you're taking, that you wouldn't have to invest in talents that are going to give you extra barb shots, like Wild Call. Auto shot criticals have a 20% chance to reset the cooldown on barb shot. Like, you might not have to take that talent anymore, which I think most of the time you're forced to take a bunch of the talents that are giving you the barb shot stacks because you need it, right? But this is going to help to fill in the gap there a little bit. Bestial Wrath will always fire off a free barb shot at 200% effectiveness, which is kind of cool. So maybe you could shift some of your talents away from barb shot stacking and into like barb shot damage. That could be something that you do. But I don't know. I need to have to like test that. Hitting Jackpot infuses your pet with mutagen, causing its auto attacks to deal nature damage to its target and up to 5 nearby enemies within 10 yards for 10 seconds. That's a long time. Not bad. Mutagenic attacks reduce the cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 1 second. So all in all, I think this is actually not a bad set at all. It gives you some flexibility. It gives you cooldown reduction on Bestial Wrath. It could potentially just give you enough barb shot stacks so that you could change your talents here into something else, because I do think that BM Hunter can get a little landlocked on the talents that they have to take. I'd say all in all, this is a good set. It's probably near the bottom of good, close to being a mid set, but I'm going to put it in good for now. What we don't know is how much damage this does. If this nature damage proc from the mutagen of your pet turns out to be really bad, then of course I would put it down here. There's also something to be said for the fact that it only buffs your one pet, not all of your pets, because there could be an interesting gameplay loop here where it's like the idea is to spawn as many pets as you possibly can and then hit Bestial Wrath so that all of your pets get a mutagen buff. Like, you You get your extra pets out there with Wild Call, and you could also have the Dire Beasts out there as well. Maybe you're playing Pack Leader and you have an extra pet out as well, and then they would all get the mutagen. That would be really cool, but that's not what's happening here. So I'm really borderline on this. It's like in between good and mid. I'm going to put it at the bottom of good for now, because I do think the flexibility it's giving you with your talents, there's something to be said for that, it's giving you so many barb shot stacks all on its own. Okay, Marksman Hunter. Your damaging spells have a chance to hit a jackpot, which increases your auto shot damage by 600% and reduces the time between auto shots by 2 seconds for 10 seconds. Now, I did look at the PTR on this, and it actually only increased the damage of my auto shots by 200%, not 600%. So I don't know if this is going to change. I don't know if this is a typo. I don't know if it's supposed to be 600% in game. The bottom line here is that my auto shots were still not doing very much damage. And Marksman Hunter has been completely changed. If you don't know, they've had a huge overhaul. And they have a lot of synergy with their auto shots now. Like, their auto shot is supposed to be an important part of their damage, I think. Precise shots makes your auto shots do double damage, but increases the time between your auto shot attacks. And then you have other talents that will reduce the time between your auto shot attacks, like in the rhythm. When your rapid fire finishes channeling, your auto shot cast time essentially is reduced by 1 second. So they're trying to make like auto shot a really important part of Marksman Hunter, but I tried it on the dummies and my auto shots were doing basically not very much damage. They were doing like 2% of my damage, even with this tier set bonus equipped. So to me, this whole 2-shot bonus is almost useless. It feels really bad in my opinion. My auto shots were not doing very much damage. Let's just say that. Consuming lock and load fires an explosive shot at 200% of it. This is actually very good because explosive shot has even more synergy than it used to, and it has a whole bunch of extra damage. There's this whole synergy with like firing an explosive shot and then firing an aimed shot into that explosive shot causes it to detonate an additional time before it actually detonates itself. That's really cool. The damage is strong on an AoE front. But I'm going to put this into the mid category here because I think that it needs some work. It's almost like needs to go down here. The only thing saving this entire set, in my opinion, is this part here. It makes the explosive shot really good. Casting True Shot also does give you a jackpot, which is nice. And if you can potentially make your auto attacks go faster, which, you know, you can do with some of the other talents, you could trigger lock and load more often, which would trigger the explosive shot effect more often. So we'll have to see how that ends up panning out. But you're basically forced to take in the rhythm, in my opinion. And you probably need to take on target to increase your haste so that your auto shots are firing quicker. Because if you have more haste, you're auto attacking more quickly, which again could proc lock and load more often, which would then trigger the explosive shot thing at 200%. But I just think I'm actually gonna throw it down here for now. I will throw it into the needs work category. It's like potentially almost mid, but I just think it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of love. Maybe this is only good if your stats are really good, like your haste gets really, really high, and then you're auto shotting like a lot more quickly, and then you're procking. Like I don't really know entirely, but on the surface this looks pretty bad, and in practice my auto shots were really not doing that much more damage than I think they do right now. So I'm not really sure the point of the 2-piece entirely. Okay, let's go to Mage. We'll start with Arcane Mage. Your damaging spells have a chance to hit a small chance. This is important. They have a small chance. A lot of the other ones say just a chance. A chance. A chance. Devastation Evoker, a chance. This is a small chance to hit a jackpot, granting you clear casting and 8% increased spell damage for 12 seconds. Casting Touch of the Magi always gives you a jackpot. Again, this is insane. Getting clear casting and spell damage, and then Touch of the Magi gives you clear casting guaranteed plus extra spell damage inside of Touch of the Magi, which is also inside of Arcane Surge, is actually really, really good, even though it's a small chance. When you get a jackpot, you also gain Aether Attunement, which at 100%, which is insane as well. That makes your your arcane missiles, hit a bunch of other people right down here. They do more damage and they fire it up to 4 nearby enemies. So this is like completely insane. It's very good. My only problem with it is that it's a small chance, and every other like jackpot effect, every other range DPS just has a chance. This is a small chance. So usually that means it's about once per minute or even less. It's usually once per minute as a small chance. Whereas like a regular chance is like once every 30 seconds, once every 40 seconds. And then something that happens all the time is like once every 10 seconds. So the effect this effect is crazy strong. Getting clear casting is really good. Getting spell damage inside Touch of the Magi, which is inside Arcane Surge, is really good, right? Getting Aether Attunement is disgustingly strong, in my opinion. It's a very, very powerful effect. And not only are you getting Aether Attunement for free from the tier set bonus, you're going to be getting more regular Aether Attunement procs because you're getting clear casting from the tier set bonus. So it's like a double dip on Aether Attunement. So even though it's a small chance, I need to put it up here because I just think this is so strong. It's not going to be at the top of the best tier sets. There's other tier sets coming. I'll get there in a second, but I really think this deserves to go up here. It's really going to be all about how low of a chance do you have to proc this. But even despite the fact that it's a small chance, the fact that you get this guaranteed inside Touch of the Magi is insane, right? Your Touch of the Magi window is going to be so much more explosive. It's guaranteed to be more explosive, okay? Yeah, I just think the stuff going on here is just way too strong. Also, the Splinter Storm thing as well, right? You automatically get Splinter Storm. This has a chance to give you clear casting as well. So you're just going to be getting so many Aether Attunement procs. In my opinion, it's going to be really insane. Let's go to Fire Mage. Okay. Your damaging spells have a chance to get you a jackpot, reducing the cooldown of Combustion by 3 seconds. Casting Combustion always gives you a jackpot at 200% effectiveness. So this is a 6-second cooldown reduction on Combustion whenever you cast Combustion. So as soon as you cast Combustion, you get 6 seconds off the cooldown of Combustion. Okay. It also gives you 15% more damage. We'll get to that in a second. When you get a jackpot, your damage is increased by 15% for 7 seconds. If you would gain jackpot from Combustion, the duration is increased by 100%. Okay, so when you get a jackpot from Combustion, you cast Combustion, okay, you're going to get 15% more damage for 15 seconds, and you're going to also reduce the cooldown of said Combustion. So there's like a million little things going on here, okay? Number one, when you cast Combustion, it gives you Frostfire empowerment as well. The idea here could be that, like, here's my question to you guys who play Fire Mage. There's potential here, in my opinion, for you to be able to spec out of Sun King's Blessing and spec into Unleashed Inferno, because Unleashed Inferno says when your Combustion is active, all your fire spells do 60% more damage, except for Flame Strike. And they reduce the cooldown of Combustion by 1.25 seconds. You're already getting cooldown reduction on Combustion now every time you cast it and every time you get this jackpot proc, which is potentially often. We'll have to wait and see. But what if you do a build where you have Combustion, but then you also take Unleashed Inferno and you're cooling down Combustion so fast that you get it down to like a 1-minute cooldown, basically? That would be really crazy, right? And then you cast it again and you're getting... If there's potentially a world here where the tier set bonus gives you so much cooldown reduction that you don't really need to take Sun King's Blessing, because it acts as if you got basically a Sun King's Blessing proc. Now, maybe that's not the case, and you could instead just take Sun King's Blessing, and then you would have Combustion up like almost all the time. I feel like you would have it up almost all the time because of all the cooldown reduction you're getting. So Fire Mage's damage is heavily reliant on them being inside Combustion. So I think this is a very good set. It's also just giving you damage for free. 15% more damage on top of being in Combustion more often is pretty insane. The Frostfire empowerment buff is going to be proccing more often because you're going to be triggering Combustion more often in order to get the full Frostfire Fire Empowerment, right? The maximum benefit of the mastery up here. So that's really good as well. And then Sun Fury has multiple synergies with Combustion as well. You get that free Arcane Phoenix. So the more often you're casting Combustion, the more Phoenixes you get. And the Phoenix is going to also give you Hyperthermia, which is completely insane. So this is a very good set. I think it's focused on the most important cooldown that Fire Mage has. Potentially the best cooldown. Why can't I move this? There we go. I think it's probably one of the best, it's the best cooldown the Fire Mage has. It's the only really important cooldown that you have. And so I think making a tier set all about it is kind of huge, in my opinion. Okay, let's go to Frost Mage. This one is so cool. Your damaging spells have a chance to cast a Jackpot, hit a Jackpot, which fires a Frostbolt volley, dealing damage to your primary target and up to 8 additional targets. Casting Icy Veins always gets you a Jackpot. Icy Veins causes you to hit a Jackpot at 100% effectiveness every 10 seconds for 30 seconds. So you basically press Icy Veins and you just go boom with these Frostbolt volleys. Then 10 seconds later, you go boom, and then boom, and then boom. Okay? Like, and then you're going to get random procs of it as well. There are so many implications here. It's disgusting. So look at this. If you play Frost Mage, let's say you play Frost Fire Mage. Guess what? Frost Fire Bolt replaces Frostbolt, which means this Frostbolt volley is going to fire Frost Fire bolts at up to 8 targets, which will immediately get you the full benefit of your Frostfire Mastery. So you'll get 12% haste, 12% mastery as soon as you proc Icy Veins. You press Icy Veins, you get this volley of Frostfire bolts. By the way, they're going to be empowered because when you press Icy Veins, it gives you Frostfire empowerment. Okay, so you press Icy Veins. Your Frostfire bolt that you're about to fire is going to do 60% increased damage, and it's going to explode for 80% of its damage to nearby enemies. So you go Icy Veins, Frostfire bolt. It goes up to 8 enemies get hit. They all explode for more damage. And then you get the maximum benefit of your Frostfire, which is 12% haste, 12% mastery. On top of that, you could take Fractured Frost. I don't even understand how this would work. Does every single one of your Frostfire bolts that you fired in the volley also split to 2 other enemies? I don't think that's what's going to happen if you take Fractured Frost, but like maybe. It's potentially absolutely disgusting and bonkers and crazy and very cool. So I think, like, to me, this is probably one of the best sets that I've seen so far, especially this extra Icy Veins. I mean, just absolutely insane what you're getting here. So yeah, this is going to go right to the top. If I can move it there. This is just being really weird. Can't even freaking, let's just grab, there we go. So there you go. So I think that the 3 mage ones deservedly should go at the top here. Now that we've got some, I mean, this is no surprise to me. Whoever the mage developers are in this game, I mean, they're just always constantly making the best things for mage that they possibly can, and every other class in the game is just like basically, you know, left on the sidelines in my opinion. But the mage sets are really strong, guys. They are all really strong. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's go to Shadow Priest. Sorry, something wrong with my nose. I don't know what's going on. Your damaging spells have a chance to hit a Jackpot that fires a Void Bolt at 200% effectiveness. So casting Dark Ascension or Void Eruption always gives you a Jackpot. This is really important to understand here. This spell does 350% spell power damage. So extra 200% effectiveness means this does 700% spell power. It extends your dots by 6 seconds, and it generates 20 insanity instead of 10. At least it should. It should do all of those things if it's going to be 200% effective. That is actually very strong. On top of that, the Void Bolt damage will go into your Psychic Link damage. So there's just a lot going on with this one line here that's actually makes this pretty strong. Okay. Casting Dark Ascension or Void Eruption always gives you a Jackpot, which is good. That makes Dark Ascension, I would say, slightly more valuable because it's a 1-minute cooldown versus a 2-minute cooldown. Like, you're guaranteed to get a Void Bolt every minute instead of every 2 minutes. Hitting a Jackpot grants you 5 seconds of Power Infusion. Mind Blast and Void Bolt deal 15% increased damage while Power Infusion is active. Now remember, both of these spells also will help you do AoE damage. So getting 15% more damage on Void Bolt and Mind Blast means you're doing more AoE damage as well in Psychic Link. So I tried this on the PTR. I don't think that it's not working. Getting the Jackpot is not giving you 5 seconds of power infusion right now. Also, you getting 5 seconds of power infusion doesn't give power infusion to anybody else if you have Twins of the Sun Priestess talented, because you have to power infusion also grants you its effect when used on an ally. Yeah, so you have to use it on an ally. Oh no, it actually gives it to, so never mind, I just read the second part, sorry. If no ally is targeted, it will grant its effect to a random ally. So actually, when you get this proc, it should be giving 5 seconds of power infusion to a nearby ally as well. Now, it's not working right now on the PTR, so take it with a grain of salt. I think that this set is okay. This 4-piece bonus is really weak in my opinion. Getting 15% more damage to these abilities only when power infusion is active is, to me, is just not very strong. Now, it depends how often this procs. If this is procking like every 30 seconds or so, or even less, if it's procking every 30 seconds or less, maybe it's actually good. But 5 seconds of power infusion is only going to let you spend like maybe 1 to 2. You're going to get like 3 GCDs in that window. And what if you don't have any charges of Mind Blast when the power infusion procs, right? Like, I don't know. I just think that there's so many like little problems with this that I think it needs a little bit of work. Also, the fact that Void Eruption is still potentially like less valuable here than Dark Ascension because it's a 2-minute cooldown versus a 1-minute cooldown, and therefore you're not getting as many Jackpot procs. And then, you know, the Jackpot proc is also giving you power infusion. So like Dark Ascension is just way better than Void Eruption because you can proc it twice as often. That bothers me. And I think that means that this just needs some work. So I would actually put this down here. I would put it at the top of down here. Like, there are some good things here. This Void Bolt itself at 200% effectiveness is fantastic. That does a lot of damage. And it's hopefully going to give you extra dot extension and more insanity generation. But the bottom line is that I just really want Void Eruption to actually be good again and to be as good as Dark Ascension. And the fact that this entire tier set bonus gives you jackpots based on your chosen cooldown is very frustrating, because that just means like they need to change the way that this is worded. Instead of it giving you a jackpot based on actually no, here's all they have to do. You get 1 jackpot if you cast Dark Ascension. If you cast Void Eruption, you get 2 jackpots. You get 2 jackpot procs right away if you cast Void Eruption. That would make this very good, but they haven't done that. So they really need to change that, in my opinion. Just make that one change and then do something with the 4-piece, please. This whole power infusion thing is just, I don't know. I don't like it. It's okay, but you just might not be ready to go when you get the proc of power infusion. You just might not be ready to like actually cast Mind Blast. What if you don't get a Void Bolt proc inside of the power infusion? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of problems there. So yeah, this needs some love. It needs some love. That's my thought there. Okay. Ele Shaman. Your spells and abilities have a chance to get a jackpot that summons a fire elemental or storm elemental for 8 seconds. Casting a sentence always gives you a jackpot. When you summon or extend your fire elemental, your lightning bolt, chain lightning, lava burst, still 10% increased damage for 8 seconds. So I actually looked at this one on the PTR and it was interesting. Now, I'm going to do a much longer video on this, but basically you can see how much damage the elementals were doing. And I went and took every single talent that interacted with elementals. So Fury of the Storm summons an elemental. This Echo the Elementals gives me more, another elemental when my elemental expires. When my elemental is active, I do more damage. And then I had Primal Elementalist as well. So all of the elemental talents that I could take. And they ended up doing a lot of damage because they were proccing quite often, I would say. I would say that like I was getting one of these elemental procs like once every 20 to 30 seconds. That's how it felt anyway. And the damage that they did was actually pretty substantial. You can see that's the unknown one there. So these are my regular guys right here. They're doing Storm Flurry, Storm Fury, and then this is my unknown one down here. This is the new guy that popped up. So after this guy procced, like after I procced a regular Storm Elemental, he did all of his stuff, and then he actually did proc a lesser elemental as well. So there's like a potential with this tier set where you could just be chaining multiple elementals over and over and over again, which is actually pretty cool. My only problem with this is that you can't really play Fire Elemental because the bonuses that you get from Storm Elemental are way too strong compared to Fire Elemental. Like, it's not even close. The Storm Elemental buffs that you get are really, really good. If you take the Primal Elementalist, then the extra, the active ability from the Storm Elemental where he starts channeling like this big chain lightning, that is really strong compared to the meteor that comes down from Fire Elemental. So I'm just really, really sick and tired of Fire Elemental never getting any love and it being kind of a bad cooldown. But the tier set bonus is going to be very good, I think, for Storm Elemental. And you're probably going to have to change some of your talents around. So whether you like that or not, it's up to you. I think this is a good tier set bonus, but I think it probably goes on the end of the good. I don't think it's the best one here, but it is good, I would say. It's probably better than the BM one, though. The BM one's going to go at the very end. Yeah. Okay. So good, not great, not bad. Might have to change your talents. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. Let's go to Warlock. Last three. Affliction Warlock. Damaging spells have a chance to get a Jackpot, which increases your haste by 12%, and casting a Summon Dark Lair always gives you this Jackpot. So, from what I understand, this cannot stack on top of itself. But I don't know, but like, if you get a Jackpot proc and then you summon your Dark Lair, I don't think you get 24%. They haven't clarified that. I don't know. Now, getting more haste makes all your dots do more damage more quickly, so that's good. But it's kind of a lame two-piece, unless it stacks. If it stacks on top of itself, then it's potentially really good. Hitting a Jackpot also increases the damage of Unstable Affliction by 50% and causes Unstable Affliction to spread to up to 3 targets. So we've never been able to spread UA before. UA is a single target dot. It cannot go on anybody else. Okay. So this is quite strong. It does a lot of damage. 426% spell damage is a lot. And you can spread it. So you can have 4 UAs going at the same time. So that's kind of crazy. Now, the only problem is with the wording here. Hitting a Jackpot also causes Unstable Affliction to spread. If you don't have an Unstable Affliction, like, let's say you basically have to press Unstable Affliction first, by the way. Whenever you're setting up your dots, and I don't know if you do this anyway, maybe you do, let me know in the comments down below. You have to press Unstable Affliction first. If you press Vile Taint and Haunt and like get your other dots rolling before you press Unstable Affliction and the Jackpot procs, then it won't spread Unstable Affliction because you haven't cast Unstable Affliction yet. So like there's a really weird quirky problem there. Now, maybe you just cast Unstable Affliction first and it's never going to be a problem. I understand that. That's the solution to the problem, but it's kind of weird the way that it's worded. I just wanted to make note of that. Spreading Unstable Affliction is quite good, and making it do more damage is quite good. I mean, like, it already does 420% spell power. It's now going to do 50% more. It's like 650% spell power. And then it's going to go to 4 targets. That's crazy. That's actually a lot of damage. So the only problem is like the 2-piece is pretty lame in my opinion. And yeah, so I think it's good. It's not great. It probably goes above BM Hunter. It probably goes here. I think it's a good set. It's not great. Unfortunately, it also has no additional value on a raid boss fight except for this 50% damage to UA. So like the spreading effect is literally wasted on a raid boss fight. So it's like, it's good. I don't know. It's good. It's not great. Getting 50% more damage on UA is good on a raid boss. Don't get me wrong, but it's certainly not the best tier set out there, but it's good. I think it's good for Affliction Warlock. Okay. Might need a tiny bit of tweaking, but it's good. Okay. Let's go to Demo Lock. Your damaging spells have a chance to hit a Jackpot, which summons a Dreadstalker at 165% effectiveness. That's a lot. Remember, Dreadstalkers do Dread Bite, and Dread Bite can be AoE. So when you summon the Stalker, he jumps in and does an AoE Dread Bite at 165% effectiveness. Casting Demonic Tyrant always hits a Jackpot. So you're always getting 1 extra Dreadstalker inside your Tyrant window. I don't know if summoning the Tyrant will immediately extend the duration of the the dog that you just summoned, right? I don't know about that. He's supposed to add 15 seconds to the dog, but I mean, the dog is getting summoned at the same time, so I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm assuming it does. It should, right? Casting Hand of Gul'dan causes your active Dreadstalkers to cast Dreadbite at 50% effectiveness. This damage is increased by 10% for each soul shard spent. So there's a potential like degenerate gameplay loop here where you summon your Dreadstalkers and then summon your Demonic Tyrant and then press Hand of Gul'dan over and over and over and over again, because every Hand of Gul'dan will cause your Dreadstalkers to do a bite at 50% effectiveness. Now, if you stack up a bunch of soul shards and do a bigger Hand of Gul'dan, it's going to make the Dreadbite hit harder, so that's fine. But like, what's more valuable, having them do a Dreadbite multiple times in a row or having them do one big Dreadbite? I don't actually know the answer to that. Let me know if you're a Demonology Warlock player. Either way, I think this set is good. It's basically tunneling on one of your best abilities, your bread and butter, your staple Dreadstalkers, and there's tons of supporting talents to make Dreadstalkers more powerful, right? Dreadstalkers costs 2 fewer soul shards and have no cast time, so like this is also pretty cool. Shadow Bolt has a chance to do this. Each soul shard spent on Hand of Gul'dan increases the damage of your called Dreadstalkers. Dreadstalkers do 50% increased damage when your Vile Fiend is active. So there's a bunch of like cool talents there. And you're getting one extra free Dreadstalker from the Demonic Tyrant. So I think it's a good one. I think it's a strong tier set bonus. And I think that it should go actually right to the top of this section here. I think it's a little bit better even than the Evoker one. So yeah. It's a bread and butter ability. It's doing more damage. You're getting an additional minion in your Demonic Tyrant window. That's when you want all your minions is inside your Tyrant window. So it's good. I think it's just good. It's going to go right there. Okay, let's look at... where did I put the... Oh, yeah, it goes down there. Okay, let's look at the last one. Destruction Warlock. Damaging spells have a chance to hit a Jackpot, which fires a flurry of Demon Fire Bolts at 200% effectiveness. That's a lot. Casting Summon Infernal always hits a Jackpot. Now, this 200% effectiveness thing could mean a couple of things. Number one, I'm a little confused because Channel Demon Fire, which should fire off a bunch of Demon Bolts, or not Demon Fire Bolts, sorry. It fires off Fel Fire Bolts. Launch 15 bolts of Fel Fire. I mean, I think they're Demon Fire Bolts, right? Let's just all assume that's what's happening there. So when you fire off the Demon Fire Bolts, you can take Raging Demon Fire, which will then increase the duration of your Immolate on all targets. So I think that this is going to also do that. So if you get a Jackpot, it fires off a bunch of Demon Fire Bolts at 200% effectiveness, which is going to extend the duration of your Immolate, not by 0.5 seconds, but by 1 second each time it hits. I think there's potential here for you to not have to manually refresh your Immolates in between Cataclysm casts, which is very good, because that is the main sort of problem with Immolate and Cataclysm, is that your Immolates don't usually last long enough. You have to it's not like Shadow Priest where you can just press Shadow Crash and you get all your dots back. So I'm kind of excited about this for Destro if the Demon Fire Bolts do what I think that they should do, where they're going to be doing damage, which is great, and they're also going to be extending the Immolate there. I think that would be pretty cool. We'll have to wait and see if that is in fact what ends up happening. When you summon a Infernal, you always get a Jackpot. So you might just be like spitting out tons of Demon Fire Bolts, which is pretty cool actually. Hitting a Jackpot increases your mastery by 3%, and then you get the maximum benefit of your mastery. So not bad, actually. It's kind of boring, but it's not bad. If you remember, your mastery gives you more damage and then gives you a random amount of extra damage, up to 8% more. Obviously, you can scale this with your own mastery, but this is going to give you, now you're going to get the maximum benefit from your mastery from your tier bonus, which is pretty cool. So you might want to stack mastery. Actually, if you don't already, you're probably going to want to stack mastery as a Destro Warlock. So this is a good set, actually. I think I was initially going to put it into the mid category, because I don't know how amazing it actually is, though. But I think it probably deserves to go up here. I'm gonna keep it in mid for now. Well, no, I'm gonna put it up here. I'm gonna put it up here. Yeah, I think this is enough damage to warrant it being good. And again, you could stack mastery to benefit from this even more. Like if you stack mastery, this is gonna be insane. By the way, also, if these demon fire bolts prove to actually do what I think that they should do by increasing the duration of immolate and then just doing a lot of damage on their own, then I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. So that is the list, boys. That is it. I know that I think initially when I was making this list, I had several of these specs in the mid category. But as I sort of thought about it more and I've learned as I've been doing more thinking on it, I think that these deserve to go where they are now. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. That is my list. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here to give you where I think these should probably go. I think realistically, the mage ones are head and shoulders above any of the other sets. A lot of the sets are falling into the good category because I think they are good. They could just use a little bit more love, a little bit of tweaking, and they'd probably be great, actually. And then these three down here, I think, do just need a lot of work and some clarification. In particular, I think the Marksman Hunter one is pretty bad in that it really just doesn't. The auto attacks that I was getting were just so bad. The Shadow Priest one, I don't know. I might move it up there just because I really love Shadow Priest and I want them to be good. The Void Bolt that you get is really strong. It's actually so strong and it carries this entire set. I just don't really like the PI interaction, but I do think it probably deserves to actually go up a little bit. So there you go. That's it right there, okay? That's the final list. Thank you so much again for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Remember, I'm going to be on the PTR all the time now on my stream, twitch.tv/ZucoVibes. So come check it out. We're going to be looking at all the PTR changes, all the exciting things that are coming in season 2. Thank you so much again for watching. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.